Hi, Peter Charles here, folks, Fly Fishing. And today we're going to look at tying the Black Domino by Pierre Leblanc of Quebec. Now, what I'm going to do a little different with this pattern and subsequent patterns that I'm going to tie is I'm going to look at material substitution or method substitution or a combination of both. And the idea behind it is, in this particular book of Canadian patterns, there's a lot of materials that are either not common or not available anymore. I mean, some of them come from species that are now endangered, that weren't endangered back then when the pattern was invented. So I'm going to use substitutions, and I'll explain why I'm using the substitution, how it works. Or I'll use a different construction method and do the same thing. So we're going to start with the Black Domino, and we'll look at the green butts, black bear, and a few other common patterns with some substitutions. And we'll go through the winter with these particular videos, looking at using different materials to do the same job. So let's get started with the Black Domino and look at the materials. I'm using a size 1 deep water salmon single. You could use, a low water salmon single if you wanted to, just depending on how you wanted to do it. My thread is this Vivus 8-knot red, I should say. My tag is going to be this Uni French oval in small. My tail is going to be this white saddle hackle. My rib is going to be this Uni French in gold, and it's a medium size. We're going to use black floss for the body. The hackle is going to be this natural guinea. And instead of the polar bear wing, we're going to be using white calftail. Now, polar bear is very translucent, which is one of its main properties that makes it good for fly fishing. But, when you look at white calftail, it's pretty translucent as well. And if you use the top end of the tail, you'll get some fairly straight hairs out of it. So that's what we're going to use today, is the calftail instead of the polar bear. So let's get started, and we'll put on a red thread. We're going to stop right in front of the hook point to kind of tie in our tinsel. Just get our thread out of the way. Now, before I carry on, I'm going to make sure that I'm got good coverage. Okay. We'll trim that off. Now we're going to put in our white saddle hackle. Now you got a choice here. I'm using some fairly soft barbs, which are going to splay out and move well. The pattern is using barbs that are stiffer. I'll leave that up to you, your choice. Now I've left them uneven. That again is your choice. I find that sometimes when you have uneven hackle, it moves better. It looks a little bit more alive than when everything is, squared up. Again, this is a tying choice. You can do it the way you want. Now I'll tie in my gold rib. And now my black floss. I'll bring my thread to the front. Half hitch to lock it in. Use my holder here, my rotary vise. Now you can see where I've started the black floss in front of that red lump. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to do 3 passes with this. I'm going to take advantage of the multiple passes to try to smooth off the body. Okay, we'll stop at the return and come back. Now, you see there's a lump there. Well, I'll bring it right up to the lump. And now I'll angle my floss to get it onto that without making too much of a lump. Use my floss and I'll cover carefully. Work it back. Come forward. Notice the angle. And then I'll straighten it up and continue to fill the body. And this time I'll take it up on the return. Here we go. Now if we look at this, it's not perfect back here. It's a little bit lumpy, but you can see the idea is to try to use the 3 passes to try and get that as smooth as possible. So now we'll put in the rib, and this is an opportunity to try to even that up a little bit, or at least hide it by using the rib. Okay, I'll make a pass at the back, then I'll come forward. And what the rib does is it tends to hide a little bit of that unevenness. It doesn't look quite as bad. Okay. Now, this stage of the game, we're going to tie on our calf tail because this is done very much in a rat style pattern where we put the wing on first and then the hackle. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take out any short stuff, strays. I want it to look relatively even, but I'm not stacking this. I mean, you could stack it if you wanted to. And still a little heavy. I'll pull out a few more. Okay, we're going to do this about to the end of the hook gape. Really bind that down. Now I'm going to finish this off and bring it back to tie in our guinea. Now, again, this is a choice I'm making. I'm keeping the guinea relatively sparse by only using one side of it. You could use both sides if you want. Your choice. I'm just going to use one side. Okay, we'll secure that. Okay, we attach our hackle pliers and try to get the feather laying back as much as possible. Sometimes these quills want to spin on you. This one is spinning a little bit. You can see the barbs want to face forward. Just brush them back. There we go. My hackle didn't break, so the quill didn't break. I'll just trim it off. Get everything pointed back, and I'll finish off the head. Okay, we're going to put some UV resin on here. Gives a nice glossy head. You can see my calf tail wing is translucent, so I'm getting a nice glow off of that. That really works nicely on overcast days. Okay, there's our black domino. Like I said before, you could use the full guinea feather. I've chosen to keep it more sparse by using only half the feather. Your choice. But you can see that the calf tail works quite well, and this is fluorescent calf tail. I mean, that stuff really is going to pop on an overcast day. So, you know, this is an Atlantic salmon pattern, but it's going to work great for steelhead. I mean, black and white, where can you go wrong with steelhead? If it's got some black in it, some white in it, and a little bit of color, it's going to work. So give it a try, the Black Domino. Cheers.